It is such a beautiful evening out tonight, so I know the lighting is not really perfect out here. I am enjoying this weather a lot. So bear with the lighting for a few minutes. I had a coaching session, a group coaching session with some of my current clients and previous clients earlier. And there were 8 of us together on a Zoom call, and we talked about is a goal insight exercise. It wasn't a goal setting exercise, because what I know about me, what I know about the people that I coach, we're all high performers, and high performers are typically really good at setting goals. Where we get tripped up is getting to the goal. Where we get tripped up is getting stuck in the process. And so it was a goal insight exercise where at the beginning we just said, pick a goal in one of 5 categories of your life that you want to achieve by the end of the year. I think the 5 categories were, let's see if I can name them off the top of my head. Job, career, business, finances, health, relationships, and spiritual or emotional well-being. So we picked one of those. Everybody did. And we walked through a series of questions, and the point was not to complete the exercise as much as it was to gain insights around what is keeping us from getting to that goal by the end of the year, and how to help us in the areas we're getting stuck. One of my favorite questions that my friend Chip Bailey introduced me to a couple months ago is a question: where in the process are you getting stuck? And is that something you can control, or is that something outside of your control? And the goal is to focus on the locus of control internally. There are things out here in the world that keep us stuck, or that would keep us stuck if we focused on them, but we can't control them. I'm interested in the things where I get stuck in the process. And so we talked about that. One of my favorite questions is, what lesson from a previous failure could you learn from right now? And what I found is that failure, which I spent most of my life running from failure, I spent most of my life ensuring that I did not fail. So I didn't risk much. I didn't take on anything that I wasn't sure that I wouldn't succeed at. And so I didn't go all in. I wasn't fully being faithful with my gifts and my talents because I wanted to make sure that I could succeed. So I spent most of my life running from failure. But the truth of the matter is, while success is nice and it feels good, and we need success every once in a while, there's not a whole lot of lessons to learn in the success. Most of the lessons, the most powerful, the most memorable, the most life-changing lessons are through failure. And so when I find that I'm stuck in a process, or I'm stuck somewhere getting to my goal, oftentimes I can look back at a previous failure and a lesson that I learned from there, and I can take that lesson and I can carry it and plop it right in the situation I'm in right now. So that question is, what lesson from a previous failure can help you in this situation get unstuck? And then a very simple question, and really it's a simple answer, but sometimes easily overlooked, is, who do you have access to that can help you get unstuck? Who and what resources do you have access to that can help you get unstuck? And I liken it to like this. There's so many people that I'd love to talk to. I'd love to call John Maxwell and pick his brain about a few things. I'd love to call Ronald Reagan, would be fantastic. I'd love to call Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and ask their advice on things. But I don't have access to them. But the fact of the matter is, in my phone I have 10, maybe 20 people that I have access to help me get unstuck. And oftentimes in the past, and even still sometimes, I find myself hesitant to ask for help, because most of my life I told myself the story that asking for help was a sign of weakness. Asking for help is a sign of I don't have it all together. And I was out to show the world that I didn't need help. I was out to show the world that I didn't need advice. I had it all together. And so it's really, really eye-opening, insightful group coaching session earlier today on the goal insight exercise. And afterwards, I was talking with one of the guys who came to that session, and he asked me this question, and I wanted to raise a question here, and I'd love to hear your insight. There's a plane flying by, I assume from the Air Force Base. Does your past define you? What do you think? I think, here's a distinction that I made when I was talking with him, was I don't think my past defines me. holistically. I think there are areas of my life that my past defines, such as I grew up in Africa and I grew up in Ireland through the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. And there's pop culture from the 90s when I was a teenager that I just don't understand. I didn't watch a whole lot of movies growing up. And so there's part of me that if you start a question with, have you seen? The answer is no, I haven't seen it. If you ask me a pop culture question that most kids in the 90s that were my age would know, I don't know the answer to it. So in that sense, my past does define that I don't know those things from my past. But my past, I don't view that my past defines me. And when I coach entrepreneurs, I start from a point that your past does not define you. There may be parts of you, there may be stories that you were taught or that you believed in the past that we can deconstruct and build new stories. I think the past gives us a starting point. And we're all going to have a slightly different starting point. But by no means do I believe, for me or anybody that I coach or anybody that I talk to, that your past defines the finish line. I think maybe it influences the finish line. I'm not even sure about that. What I do believe is that everything I have gone through in the past, everything about my past, good, bad, ugly, everything about your past, the good, the bad, and the ugly, has brought you to the point that you are today. And you wouldn't be who you are. You wouldn't have the gifts that you are today without your past. Now, I've talked before how I grew up in Africa, in Ireland, in a culture that wasn't an American culture. And then I came back to the States when I was 19 years old as an American, plopped into an American culture. There were things at the time that I wished had been different in my life. I wished I had grown up in the States. But what I realize now is that I have a gift, or I have a love for piano and music because of the way that I was raised in Ireland. I have a gift. I have a love for people and for relationship and connection that I have because I was raised overseas and didn't have a whole lot of deep connections. I am who I am today because of my past. My past gave me a starting point, but I do not believe that it defines my future. There are things that it influences, but it doesn't define my future. I believe that I have the ability to make decisions today because of my past. I believe that I have the ability today to decide what I'm going to do with my life. And my past doesn't need to hold me back. My past is a starting point. My past has many gifts in it. Your past has many gifts in it. And sometimes there's some mining of the gold. One of my coaches used to talk about mining the gold. Sometimes there's mining of the gold that has to be done to find the gift of your past. And I believe in everybody's past there is gold to be mined. And I'm very grateful for the people in my life who've helped me mine the gold in my life to find the gifts from the past. The book that I'm writing, which I haven't started actually writing, but I am writing, is called The Gift of Loneliness. One of my gifts from my past was the gift of loneliness, that I value deep connection. Does your past define you? I don't believe it does. I don't coach from a standpoint that it does. I believe your past gives you a starting point. I believe your past gives you fantastic gifts to build on your future. What do you think? I'd love to know your thoughts. I'm going to go here. So if you watch this afterwards, just comment. Does your past define you? What do you think?